Hi, everybody. My name is Gary Gomes. I'm. I was just humming one of my favorite songs. Actually, it was the nicest version of the song that I was humming. Um, and so that was like a really obscure rock group reference, but we'll get to that in another series of videos. I'm here to talk to you about Vedic astrology and also a give you an overview of the week and coming events in the Vedic chart. We're going to have kind of a busy week this week. We have full moon in Scorpio, and so that usually makes people a little bit anxious. They really shouldn't be, but that's just the way it is. I do have some announcements to make. I will be talking with my friend John Krausian after June 10th. I am planning to hold another session with Lolita Dennis a little bit back. Um, and have a discussion about what's happening in the sky, big events coming up. And also, I will be doing, uh, I'm in the middle of doing presentations. I did a presentation yesterday at the Arsha Video Curriculum in Pennsylvania, and I'm not there, I'm doing it remotely. And I'll be doing one on Monday on relationships, essentially timing of relationships and things like that. Yesterday's lecture was on finding happiness in relationships, finding, will a relationship be happy? Will it be uh, troublesome? Will it be good? And as a priest, I, I've actually conducted marriages for people and also baptisms, also funerals, and so I can perform essentially what we would call the civic functions of a priest. And so I'm not a justice of the peace. I'm technically a swami, which is a priest in uh, in Hindu tradition and yogic tradition. So so if you're interested in any of those services, let me know. I can do them. The It doesn't require that you become a member of any religion in order for me to conduct the service. I can do it. You know, it's not a proselytizing kind of a situation. So if you are interested in those, let me know. Also, I will be talking a lot on remedial measures over the next few months. I know I've been promising this for a while, but I think it's kind of important for people to know these things. And also, but again, one thing I would recommend is not to do. I'll be very specific about which ones you can do on your own and which ones you really need to consult an astrologer or a trained priest to do, because there are certain things that are like what I would call general remedies that pretty much anyone can do just because of planetary transits. There are other things which are specific to your individual sign, which you probably, um, and if you undertook them, uh, they might be ineffective for the situation that you're trying to address. None of these is really going to be harmful. Certain gems, Vedic astrology recommends you wear certain gems, and certain gems can be detrimental to certain rising signs. So there is that warning there. And I mean, when I say detrimental, I'm not saying they'll cause illness or anything like that, but they'll essentially block what you're trying to do. Okay. So so essentially it's not like I'm saying this is poison, you shouldn't take this, but uh, you want to get the right um, remedy for the right condition. Okay. You want to get the correct remedy for the condition that's bothering you, right? So nobody wants to spend um, money on something or invest in something that's not really going to be helpful to them. And certain procedures and rituals should be done by trained professionals, so you wouldn't attempt to do brain surgery on yourself, or you wouldn't attempt to do heart surgery on yourself. And I think certain things it's better to leave to priests or to people who are trained in those particular traditions. Um, and even if you're a strict Catholic, you don't believe that you should do um, things connected with Hinduism or belief systems outside of your own of experience. There are also remedies you can ask Catholic or Episcopalian priests or rabbis to do for you, which will help you out. Or if you're in Islam, there are certain things that the holy men can do in that tradition that can help you out as well planetarily. So there are a wide variety of things you can do to correct unpleasant situations, and I'll get into those over the next few weeks. I will also be doing last advertisement. I will also be doing a presentation at Saptarishi Astrology. Saptarishi Astrology is founded by a gentleman named Sunil John from India, who was given selflessly to the promotion of Vedic astrology. I've known him for, I would say, maybe around 15 years or so, um, 15 to 20 years maybe. And he's just a wonderful man, and he's devoted himself um, very selflessly to the promotion of this knowledge. Uh, you can check out the website, his website. You can check out the Arsha Vidya Gurukulam's website. I'd also encourage you to check out the American College of Vedic Astrology's website if you're interested in taking formal Vedic astrology courses and you don't want to go one-on-one through a person like through me. Um, I'm one of the teachers there, so I mean, in fairness, and I'm also a teacher at Dyra Academy, but they're structured differently, so you can do things in different ways and different paces. So there are a variety of ways to learn. I also do readings, and you can contact me for readings at 508-525-0001. So enough of the promotion. Let's get on with the news. Okay. So we'll look at the planets in the sky and we'll see what's happening this week. Okay. Oh, the Saptarishi astrology sessions are July 8th and 9th. I am not sure which day I'll be talking on. And Saptarishi also has a variety of courses you can take. Um, there are just a variety of people. I have good friends with the Council of Vedic Astrology who also do lessons. Um, American College of Vedic Astrology does lessons. Um, there are a lot of people, and some of the individuals at the um, who are members of the Council of Vedic Astrology have their own schools as well. So it's not really like there's only one game in town anymore. Years ago when I started, and there are a lot of people out of India who teach as well. So you can find a variety of good teachers. When I started around 1990, there were only a few teachers available. And we didn't have all this marvelous online technology that we have now. So it was you had to really search around. Um, right. So one more time. But of course, I recommend you contact me. You know, just of course. All right. All right. So for this chart, this is for this week. Oh, by the way, I did want to take a victory lap because I did correctly predict that um, um, Tayyip Erdogan would win the presidential election in Turkey. Um, it has nothing to do with a lot of these things are astrological indicators. It has basically nothing to do with my political perspective or opinion. Okay. Um, I find that when my political perspective or opinion gets in the way, that's when I make my worst predictions. And I think that one of the things that every astrologer has to fight is his or her own personal biases. So I think that's something that every astrologer has to sort of like pull back, detach a little bit, and say, well, it's this is what I see, and even if they don't particularly relish the outcome, um, they have to report honestly. And as you probably know from watching these videos before, reporting honestly is a big thing with me. It's really honesty in public life is. Um, I don't want to make it seem like it never happens, but we rarely get unvarnished truth. Um, and that's not a criticism. That's essentially the way that um, I think, in part, the public is to blame for that because we really don't want to hear news that upsets us. We really don't want change is hard. Change is hard for anybody. Okay, so if we see a system and we don't like the system, it's easier to accommodate than to change, right? So I think one of the things is, over the next few years, um, we're going to be forced into certain changes. Not that they're all going to be in the long run, they'll be good changes, but there'll be a kind of a disruptive period over the next, I would still say, over the next 8 to 9 years, um, and um, and basically a lot of the changes that come out of that will be good. Long term, probably very beneficial, but they'll be disruptive. They'll be upsetting to a lot of people, but on both the right and the left. Okay, so I think one of the things, one of the balancing acts that anybody has to do in life is figure out what is what changes will benefit me, what changes will benefit me short term, so instant gratification, or long term, that's deferred gratification. Usually, deferred gratification decisions are best. Sometimes instantaneous gratification decisions are worthwhile. Sometimes delayed gratification decisions are missed opportunities. And that's why you go to astrologers to try to figure out whether or not something you want to grab right now is a good idea, or whether it's just a bright, shiny object that you're looking at and it looks really good, but it really won't be good. So I think, and whether or not the stuff that you say, oh, I get that in 10 years, you're just blowing an opportunity which is coming up right now and won't come up again. So again, there's that juggling act between instant gratification and when it's suitable, and um, deferred gratification and when that's suitable. And in the United States, we're not really good at deferred gratification, but it's been, how can I say this without sounding too political? It's been used against us a lot. Okay. Um, and I think I think one of the things um, that you want to look out for is um, emotional manipulation, because that's really what advertising is based on. I have an MBA. I studied marketing is different from advertising, but marketing does have a certain element of emotional manipulation to it. And if you feel like your emotions are being manipulated, like you're being fired up or you're being made to feel too good, that's the time to say to yourself, it's too good to be true or it's too bad to be true. Right? And one of the two. All right. So so anything that evokes those kind of extreme emotions, either extreme love and adoration or extreme hate, they're probably pretty far from the truth. All right. So, um, or they're exaggerations. Let's put it that way. So the first thing we see from this chart is right now the moon is actually in the full moon position right now. So as I'm doing this particular discussion, and we have Mars aspecting K2, so temperatures are still going to be kind of hot for the next couple of months. I've seen a lot of road rage, um, not really like people attacking other people, but people criticizing other people's driving habits or just attacking people. Our critical facilities are way up because Mars is aspecting Saturn. That expects perfection, and you'll see people getting very emotional about relatively nitpicky things. So there is what's called an exchange of lores between Mars and the moon. Both Mars and the moon are debilitated. They're both weak, but this particular cancellation of debilitation is not a particularly effective one. And I'll tell you why. Both planets are in their debilitation signs. So both Mars and the moon are debilitated. So essentially what that means in plain English is both Mars and the moon are weak. So when Mars is weak, we're a little bit more accident prone than normal. When the moon is weak, we're a little bit more quick to temper than normal. So this combination makes us quick to temper, a little bit accident prone. It can cause mechanical problems in cars, in vehicles, because Venus is in conjunction with Mars. It can cause problems in relationships because of the Venus conjunction with Mars, or friendships because Venus rules the 11th house in this chart. It can cause some disappointment with gains because Venus rules the 11th house of gains. Sun is in the 11th house, so actually this should be a good month for financial gains or financial improvement. We do have a relatively good, what they call in Western astrology, a trine. They call it a trikona in Indian astrology. Um, rough is a rough trine between, um, actually, there's a square between Jupiter, Mercury, Rahu, and Venus, and Mars, and Mars is in a trine to the moon. So that actually helps us to move forward. It helps us to advance our causes. But there will be a certain amount of resentment, and a lot of people with planets in Cancer will feel particularly, they'll feel um, buoyant and optimistic in one hand, and then they'll run out of energy relatively quickly. So that's something to watch out for. So especially early in the day, I've noticed over the past few weeks, I have like boundless energy and optimism. And that's because the sun's in Taurus, Venus is well placed from the sun. And right now we have a full moon, so this gives the culmination of certain events. So this will be closings. And Jupiter and Mercury are relatively optimistic. With Rahu, it's kind of a false optimism, but it's still optimism, and you should probably use that energy for constructive things rather than saying this won't last. Okay, so you can probably do some good things with this combination. Okay, so instead of saying, well, that's Rahu, it can't really do much good. Actually, Rahu can promote change. It can make people improve their situations. Saturn still aspecting that combination is forming several combinations connected with partnerships and legacies in the chart. So you'll experience delays in getting things that are due to you. In terms of the world map, let's look at it that way. This will give us, again, some problems with governments. Governments are slow to react. Governments are slow to correct themselves. Governments are slow to correct. People are slow to admit to misrepresentations or lies they've made with this combination. That'll break through a lot over the next week or so. When Mercury, within about a week or so, when Mercury enters Taurus, you'll see a lot more exposure of the truth, but you'll also see excuses like, well, the truth was done to protect you, or, so there'll still be this sort of like, um, trying to think of a good way to put it. This mask of, yeah, we weren't exactly truthful about that, or we really didn't know as much as we said we knew, but it was for your own good. Okay. So, and again, this is true of both the right and the left. This is not true just of one political persuasion. Um, and even of the middle. So this combination, though, I mean, the nice thing about this combination is that it makes people doubt. It makes people question what they believed for a long time. And I think that's good. Okay. And the reason I think it's good is because you can be lulled into a false sense of security, and that makes it easier for people to misrepresent uh, facts to you. And you'll see a lot more evidence coming out of scandals over the next few months. The Epstein circle, just looking at a lot of the people who've shown up as being affiliated with Epstein, the financier who ran um, that child um, sex trafficking operation. Um, uh, the amount of people who were associated with him seems to be growing um, rapidly. Okay, so we're going to see more scandals involving people in government. It isn't just a few people; it's a lot of people. And also, I think, and it's a lot of people from both the right and the left. It's not just people in power. Also, you'll see more truth coming out about government, and this is true not only in the United States but around the world. So I'm not attacking any one government, and also a lot of lies have been spread by various people who have interests. Saturn is delaying some of the action that needs to be taken in these cases because Saturn's just like, well, no, we're not going to give up control right now. We're not going to give up control right now. That really won't happen for about another year or so, yeah, at the earliest. But I think one of the things that's nice about this is Venus in the first house. Venus is a true telling planet. With Mars, it'll come out a little bit aggressive. It'll come out a little bit intentionally aggressive, and you'll probably see a lot of people arguing. Like attacks and counterattacks and all this other stuff. I think one of the fascinating things I've seen is some of the hidden talk on both the right and the left has come out over the past few months. So 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 certain discussions that were made by government officials or by news media. So uh, Fox and Trudeau are the first ones to come to mind. Um, but also just in general around the world. So there's a lot of shakiness, a lot of there's definitely some blind trust in institutions. There's definitely some blind trust in people. And again, this is right and left. But um, I think it's fascinating to watch things like this develop because Saturn's aspecting the moon is making us realize how much we have to take responsibility for our own actions. And like I said, I think that's a positive thing about the Rahu Jupiter um, combination. So you have experts um, in a variety of fields or authorities in a variety of fields. That doesn't mean authorities are infallible. And even as a layperson, you have a right to ask questions. Okay. Because they should be able to explain it to you. It's not like people, I think, tend to accept too much on faith. And that goes for political persuasions, that goes for populist positions, that goes for a lot of different things. It's not just, it's not just, ooh, the government's bad and they're out to get you. A lot of people are vying for your dollar or your vote or your support. Okay, and a lot of this is about control. It's not about helping you. It's about control. Okay, if I'm being totally truthful, Venus in this particular sign, this will reveal uh, some emotional conflict, some concerns about health issues, larger scale health issues over the next month or so, and that'll continue all the way through August. So you'll see when Venus goes retrograde in late July, you'll actually see a lot of these same issues being covered and a lot of financial issues being covered. When Venus goes retrograde, that would be the time I would see a lot of concern about markets starting to go around late July, starting to come up a lot about financial markets and also about ways um, in which um, the markets have been a little bit manipulated over the past couple of years. So, and again, for a long time, this isn't a recent phenomenon. And again, this is what you would expect people to do. This is not something which is like a shocker. It's not. So uh, a person's if a person's investing, they're not going to do it for your benefit. They're going to do it for their benefit. Uh, to think otherwise is really naive. But I'm not knocking anybody for thinking that. I'm just saying it's not really what I'm proposing here is not rocket science. It's pretty straightforward. Also, rocket science. We just did have Korea. I think launched a flight, had an accident. Not a good time for launching major mechanical endeavors over the next couple of months. And finally, Let's go over here. A lot of diplomatic disruption over the next few months. You'll see a lot of effort to continue to um, disrupt and decentralize power across the world. That's both a good thing and a bad thing. Okay, to be honest with you. So essentially, um, the countries are proposing the decentralization of power. Some of them are not good countries. Okay, just to be honest with you. So again, it's one of those things where we have now. Again, I'm not arguing the United States as a paragon of virtue. Evidence contradicts that. But some of the other countries that are involved in this, like China, are not, are not humanitarian countries. They're not good countries. I have nothing against the Chinese people. I have a suspicion of the leadership. Okay, so just to differentiate between the two. Okay, and of any country, I have nothing against the people of a country. You know, so and I don't think anybody in their right mind should actually hold that belief that the people of a certain country are bad. Um, uh, but certain leadership combinations do not have either your or their people's best interests at heart. Let's put it that way. So, what can we expect? We've seen increased volcanic activity with Mars aspecting K2, right? Okay, so that's going to continue. Possible earthquake activity were really more as Mars nears the end of the sign around September. And also, uh, as K2 gets near Virgo, this will be around November or so, late November. So nothing immediate right now. Some water problems with Venus in a watery sign, and also Moon in Scorpio. Okay, so some water catastrophes or catastrophes connected with flooding are expected. So let's go to the individual signs now. And we're going to go to Aries. Aries has Rahu, Jupiter, and Mercury in the first house. So that makes this sign very powerful, very aggressive. Seems to think it has all the right answers. Sun's in the second house, good for promotion of wealth. Second Lord's in the fourth house, good for promotion of land, but fights with relationship partners are indicated. And also relationship partners are not doing well financially at this particular time. Saturn's slow growth is indicated for this planet for this sign with Saturn in the 11th house. For Taurus, Taurus has the sun in it, and so this is Pisces, Aries, Taurus. And again, keep in mind, Vedic astrology, you go back to the 15th of the previous month. So for Taurus, I'm sorry, you go ahead to the 15th of the following month, and Taurus starts at June. Taurus starts at May 15th, excuse me, uh, not April 23rd. So Taurus has um, Venus in the third house, so there's a lot of ambition with the sign. Again, too much expenditure on friends, too much expenditure on beauty, but still, it's a good it's a good combination. You'll get a lot of the things you want done this week. Relationship life will be a little bit grumpy. Relationship partners will seem a little bit irritable or a little bit difficult to deal with. Health issues are still a concern for Taurus. Unexpected health issues and viruses, maybe allergies. And career life looks very good for Taurus, but again, watch out for spending. Uh, there'll be some slowness in career life too, so just keep in mind. But this does give this sign the ability to command people or lead people. For Gemini, Gemini has Venus and Mars in the second house. So That's a good what they call Dana Yoga or wealth producing combination. And it's good for luck for the sign, good for the family for the sign. And it will also give some good luck for children. Children have had a difficult year or seem a little bit moody. Moon is in Scorpio for this sign in the sixth house, so some anxiety or some worry about the future. They shouldn't be able to go within about a day or so. Saturn's in the ninth house, so good for slow progress in financial gains and good for financial gains in general. In general, Sun is the Lord of the third house. Is Lord of the third house, so that's good that it's in the 12th house. That's not a bad combination. So a lot of this sign will be able to put his material desires on hold for a little bit. For Cancer, Venus is in the first house, so this sign will seem very romantic or very attractive. Um, it will have a lot of this is kind of a lustful combination. So this sign will be very interested in relationships. Um, it doesn't necessarily mean it can't engage in them, but Saturn's in the eighth house, so relationships won't last long for this particular sign if it engages in them. But if you can take that, then you can go ahead and engage in them. K2's in the fourth house, some distance or emotional distance from home. Moon's in the fifth house. Don't get involved in relationships for at least for another couple of days, at least. Just because the moon, you'll choose badly. You'll choose somebody who's sort of like a bad person, and it'll last for just a short time. For the rest of this sign, very good for fame for the sign, very good for financial gain. For Leo, Leo has no planets in the first house, but the Lord of the first is in the 10th, so that gives good career growth, good potential for career expansion with Rahu, Jupiter, and Mercury in the ninth house, strong desire for learning. K2's in the third house, very courageous placement for the sign. A lot of debts are going to be forgiven for Leo this month, so that's a good thing. Relationship life will be stable. It'll seem a little boring, but it'll be stable. But this sign will feel increasing pressure to change relationships over the next couple of years. So just be aware of that. And this will be particularly true within about a year and a half. For overall, this is it's not a bad week for Leo. You could, actually a pretty good one. For Virgo, Virgo has K2 in the second house, so its communication skills are a little bit limited. Monetary skills are a little bit limited, but unexpected gains, unexpected um, access to funds are expected from this placement because the Lord of the second is in the 11th house, along with Mars, the Lord of the third. So a lot of your desires will be able to be fulfilled this month. Moon in the third house. Again, watch out for your desires. They may not be what you. They may be for control or for. Now, again, if that's what you want, I'm not judging you, but they may be for control or for some kind of manipulation of people. Saturn's in the sixth house, so again, be careful of your health. Your energy will run out fairly quickly. Rahu, Jupiter, Mercury, unexpected gains from friends uh, or from relationship partners. Sun's in the ninth house, good for general luck of this chart, and good for experiences overseas or with people from other countries. K2's in the first for Libra rising. Libra has Libra sun, Libra rising, Libra moon. Libra has moon in the second house, so there'll be a lot of focus on finances. Mars is in the 10th house along with Venus. Very good for career life, actually. This is actually a good time for this planet's career. Um, Good for new partnerships, although the partnerships may be with people from other countries or people from unusual backgrounds. Saturn's in the fifth house, actually a good creative sign for the sign. Saturn's a good planet for Libra rising. and so it'll give a lot more work and a lot more constructive work. So overall, not a bad chart for Libra, just not really good for engaging in long-term relationships. But if you get interested in somebody from a foreign country, it's a little bit different. Or else if you get interested in somebody who's famous, that might blossom into something positive. For Scorpio, Scorpio has Moon in the first house, so it's a little bit worried, a little bit feels a little bit victimized. Sun's in the seventh house, so there's a lot of focus on long-term relationships. A lot of your energy is going towards long-term relationships, and it's consuming you a little bit. Saturn is aspecting the sixth house, so again, watch out for illnesses, watch out for um, um, illnesses you ignored. Saturn is in the fourth house, so there may be some problems at home. Venus is in the ninth house, which is good for overall luck. And the Lord of the First is in the ninth house. So again, this is a lucky period for the sign. Just watch out for expenditures, okay? And watch out for people stealing from you. Sagittarius has Saturn in the third house, good for courage. Um, Past life luck, or what they call um, or efforts you made before, will produce some fruits, but they'll be slow in coming. Sun's in the sixth. Watch out for energy levels being low. Venus is in the eighth, so this should make the sign seem very attractive to potential partners. So you'll get a lot of attention. And finally, K2's in the 11th. Again, watch out for friends. And Moon's in the 12th. Watch out for over expenditures on bad behavior. Capricorn has Saturn in the second, Jupiter in the fourth. That's a good placement for financial gains. It's also a good placement for slow investments. Sun's in the fifth house. That's a good placement for legacies, especially to children. Venus is in the seventh house along with Mars, so although there'll be fights, there'll also be passion with relationship partners. K2's in the 10th, not a lot of career activity, but a lot of work expected. And Moon is in the 11th house, so good for some financial gains, although they may be a little bit unorthodox. For Aquarius, Saturn's in the first house. It gives this sign good ability to command people or lead people. Aspecting the third house, it'll give it good skill and good work ethic. Sun's in the fourth, a lot of focus on home life. Venus is in the sixth, so it should watch out for enemies and also accidents. K2's in the ninth, unexpected luck, unexpected interest in different spiritual traditions. Moon's in the 10th, some worry or anxiety about career. Finally, we go into Pisces. Pisces has Rahu, Jupiter, Mercury in the second house. So there's a lot of focus on home and anxiety about home, but also um, anxiety about relationships, but also good for career. It'll give the sign some financial growth for career. And finally, Moon the is in the seventh house from the sun in the ninth house. So this full moon, even though it's a full moon in Scorpio, it will still be somewhat beneficial for Pisces rising or Pisces sun or Pisces moon, but it will seem to be like there's a lot of anxiety from this planetary placement. One of the things that I've noticed over the past few days is there's a lot more in the media and people I've met, there's a lot more anxiety that something bad is about to happen. And that's really the moon in Scorpio aspected by Saturn. Uh, it's, a, it's a little bit overstated. I do think we're going to have an economic downturn relatively soon, but I'm not sure how deep it's going to be, and I'm not sure how catastrophic it's going to be. So I think, and 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 my feeling about this is we went through a major restructuring in 2007, 2008 with the housing market. We're going to be going through a major restructuring, I think, with the financial markets over the next year, year and a half. I think ultimately those will be good things that will happen, but I don't like the way it's taken out on little people. I don't like the way that the only way we can think to fix things is to make things more expensive um, and to penalize people who really can't uh, protect themselves. So that's a little bit of a concern on my part. Now let's get to the planetary map. So that's enough of my personal political position. Let's go over here to the time and space map. It's about time, it's about space, it's about two men in the strangest place. Okay, so let's go here. Oh, it didn't work the way I wanted to, so let's go back. Oh, I don't like it when it does that. Hold on, let's go back. We'll use a smaller map. Oh, it worked that time. That's wonderful. Um, okay, so volcanoes in Hawaii. We already know about this. This is something which has been in the news. Um, even volcanoes in the Antarctic. So we look down here. So we're hearing some news about that. That was fascinating. Um, and this area right here has a lot of planetary activity. Jupiter, Rahu, Mercury, all passing close to the Hawaiian Islands. And it's funny, I never started mentioning volcanoes until like a few months ago, and then and they just started up, and we have a Mars line right here. See that little Mars line? So that'll induce some eruptions. There have been some eruptions in Yellowstone, but they're not massive eruptions just yet. There is a Saturn line next to California. Saturn's in Aquarius. This would make me believe it's more prone to um, air problems, um, maybe even maybe even problems with commercial flights in California and the Vancouver region. And also over here we have Mars lines up near the Arctic. So there may be some earthquake activity up there. We have a Venus line running through Alaska down all the way through central United States, all the way down into Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. And uh, I think one of the things you'll see is some flooding in this part of the world over here. Now, as we go over to the uh, to the eastern United States, we have this Mars line running right through here, which will indicate some violence in Virginia all the way up through Michigan. Okay. And the surrounding area is not immune from that as well. I know there was a power outage in Pennsylvania yesterday. Um, and we have a Rahu Jupiter line heading right over my area, which is, or actually close to my area, which is New England. So I'm right here. And over here we have um, and this is close to Washington. So there'll be some governmental scandals connected with the New England states, possibly with Washington, D.C., possibly with Haiti, possibly with Cuba, and even down into Puerto Rico. And Haiti and the Dominican Republic have to watch out for land catastrophes. That's really the only way I can put it. And so does this entire section of South America, down here through Ecuador, Peru, Argentina, and also government scandals. So a lot of the governments in this part of the world are unstable right now. okay, down through Colombia, down through Venezuela. And there's a strong Mars line hitting all the way through Brazil. So there can be some political violence here, especially in the center of the country and also in Paraguay and Uruguay. Um, the other line I'd like to draw your attention to is we have this moon line. So this can give bad economic news to Brazil. And with the Saturn line over there, that tends to underscore it. There's a sun line running through the middle. Sorry, there's a sun line running through the middle of the Atlantic Ocean near Brazil. So you may see some attempts to not overthrow but undermine the government in Brazil. Um, there's nothing happening in Eastern Europe. We have or in Western Europe in terms of planetary lines or in Western Africa. But this Venus line does indicate some flooding problems, some energy problems in this part of the country, or in this part of the world. And this particularly goes over to Germany, Sweden, and even some conflict near Finland. Definitely conflict in the Ukraine. That goes without saying. And even throughout Africa, Egypt, Sudan, all the way down into South Africa. So I think we're seeing some increased political activity over here near Ethiopia as well, and up through Saudi Arabia, and Iran is in kind of a mess right now because there is some effort to exercise control, exercise influence. I found out recently they've been actually aiding Russia in the war against Ukraine. Um, and so this will bring them some problems. Turkey, I just want to mention Turkey quickly. There's a Jupiter line running over Turkey and a Mars line running over Turkey. So we might expect some political violence, maybe even limited earthquake activity near Istanbul or southwest Turkey. Again, uh, those poor people in southwest Turkey, I really feel sorry for them. And even in Eastern Europe, okay, through uh, one person reports me, and this is underreported in our country, but Eastern Europe's had like hundreds of earthquakes. Many of them are relatively low magnitude, but just hundreds of earthquakes. So this entire section of the world is geologically unstable right now. And as a matter of fact, there's a gap developing in West Africa, or I'm sorry, in East Africa right now, right around here. So there's actually a new continent forming. Well, it'll take millions of years to do that, but that gap is due to plate tectonic activity. Over here, and you can look this up. Isn't something I'm making up. But again, it's a very slow separation. It's not really something that's where we're going to see part of Africa drifting off into the sea. The other thing we have right here is we have problems in Pakistan, Afghanistan. Like this is not new. Those countries were left in a horrible state after about 40 years of Russian and Western involvement. It's no wonder they're unstable. And all the way up through central Russia. Now, there was a drone attack in Moscow, which is roughly around here. And so there'll probably be more because of the Saturn aspect right here. And this Mercury aspect, we'll be hearing more about that. And finally, as we get over to the east over here, political scandals over uh, over eastern Russia, and some flooding in Southeast Asia. We're getting close to monsoon season, I believe, in Southeast Asia. I could be wrong about that. and Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia will have problems with those things too. You see these Venus lines? These Venus lines are not there. You see, well, it's Venus. How can that hurt anything? Venus lines tend to give a lot of water. So they're beneficial from that respect. They're not beneficial in the fact that they can cause flooding and damage. So Borneo is subject to that, Philippines is subject to that, even Japan to a certain extent. And there's a Mars line running from Philippines and up through Japan and next to Korea. So again, not a surprise the Korean launch didn't take off, and we'll hear a lot about it. We'll also hear a lot about Hong Kong, Taiwan over the next few weeks, just because we have a lot of activity over here in China. Australia has a Saturn line running through it, so the economy is going to be in a little bit of trouble. And the moon over here is close to Sydney, I believe, and the Mercury line. So there'll be a lot of focus on the economy. New Zealand is thankfully left out of this right now, so New Zealand's relatively, they're getting a little bit of a break. So that's it for this week. I hope everyone's doing terrific. Again, keep in mind, if anything happens, um, always use any opportunity when things get disrupted as a way to build independence, to say, um, I can control my life. You know, I can't control things in the world around me, but I can control, number one, how I react to them, and number two, how I improve my life from that point onward. Because basically, um, a lot of people hold themselves back from improving their lives. Okay. So just keep that in mind, as that's not a judgment, that's just an observation. And I'm not judging you. You don't want to do anything about your situation. I'm not judging you if you do. I'm just saying you always have choices. Okay. All right, folks. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, share. We do want to grow this channel a great deal. And thank you ever so much for watching. I love you all.